Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the class. How is it going, everyone? Are you all doing? Walaikum salam. How are you doing?
Fine, sir.
You fine? So, did you all see the marks?
No, sir.
I just published the marks, and somebody is visiting the spreadsheet. So, I understand that you all are very curious. So, let me share the link. Please go to the link to see your marks. The spreadsheet is in your content folder also. So I'm giving you the link, or you can go to your content folder and you will find the spreadsheet on the top. And I'm really happy to see that most of you have done really well, and you could pinpoint the issues that I wanted to mark. For example, I had marked you based on 5 criteria. The first one was the text. So all you had to do to get the 2 marks of that text is you would have to write down all the text correctly. So I was seeing a lot of students, not a lot of students actually, 1 or 2 students who would not even write down the texts. They would just write the first column, and then they could not do the second column, so they did not even write the text. So they did not really get the full mark on the text. So I have given them maybe 1.5 or 1, right? And the second one was about the color. So there was 2 marks on the color. Can you all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm explaining to you the rubrics on how I actually marked you. So the second criteria was the color. So I asked about 3 colors. One is the black, another one is gray, another one is blue. So a lot of you have done really well. They have applied the RGB color. That's wonderful. But some of you did not really bother about the gray color. So I have given them 1.5 instead of 2. Or some of you did not really apply the blue color as well. So I have given them only 1 for the black color. And the third one is the image, and most of you have got good marks, full marks on that portion, because you were able to import the images correctly, and that is really nice. But some of you could not really manage the aspect ratio. So I was seeing that some of you, some of the images were flattened, so I had to cut some marks. So some of you might have got 1.5 mark out of 2. And the fourth one was a bit tricky. So in the fourth criteria, I actually marked you based on the border bottom and also the padding. So there are 2 different things. So the first one is that in the heading, you would actually have to apply a bit of border. Some of you have done that using the horizontal line, and some of you have done it using the border bottom. Both of them are actually fine. And this will carry 1 mark. And another one is the padding. So some of you did not really bother about the padding. So I had to cut some mark there. And some of you actually applied padding everywhere, so it would look really weird. So I had to cut maybe 0.5 marks in that case also. But most of you could figure out that there is a padding between the items. That's different. And there is also padding between the headers. So they have applied the padding there as well. And the final one was the flex. I asked you to create 4 columns, and most of you could do it. I'm really happy to see that. And some of you applied table, some of you applied flex. And although I mentioned that you will have to use flex in the question, some of you had confusion, so I actually gave all of them marks. So if you have done it using the table or using the flex, I have given you the mark. But from next time, if I give you a criteria that I say that, okay, you must do it using this and this and this. In that case, even if there is no scope for confusion, so don't create confusions. So from the next time, I will not really consider these things. And one thing that I actually faced problem marking your scripts is that some of you did not really submit the actual HTML file, and some of you did not really submit the PDF file. So from the next time, I will actually penalize this. What you will have to do is that you will have to submit all the files, including the HTML and the CSS and everything. And also, you will have to convert the whole code, including the HTML and the CSS, into a single PDF file. Our university mandates that we actually mark the portions where I have cut marks. So I have mentioned 5 criteria. I have the breakdown of all the 5 criteria for every one of you, but I will have to show a document to the university that where are the faults in your script. just like we see in our actual exam. So from the next time, what you must do is that you must submit all the files, including the HTML and the CSS and everything. And also you will have to convert this into the PDF and submit the PDF file also. For some of you, you have only submitted the PDF file. So I had to copy all the text into a text file to see what is actually the generated output. And for some of you, you have done only the HTML file. I could not really mark the HTML file, right? So I am considering this for the first time, but from the next time, you must submit these two types of file here. So if you have any confusion regarding the marks, or if you want to know what is the breakdown of the mark of your particular portion, please give me an email. I will be happy to share what problem was there in your script. Okay. And I am very excited to see that a lot of you have actually done quite a bit of this. So all of you have done really well. So those who have joined later, did you all see the marks? Let me share the link again. Okay, let me share the link again so that you can see. And this is the spreadsheet that contains the marks, and the spreadsheet is actually on the content folder where you all the slides and also the recordings are there. So it's this Excel sheet is actually there. So what do you think about your marks? Is it too much? Is it too less? But how is it? Is it good?
It is perfect.
Okay, thank you very much, Iftikhar. And I really am tempted to show you one script that I am particularly fascinated with, and I don't really mean to demean anyone. And I am really happy to see that all of you have done excellent. And by excellent, I mean excellent. But I really want to show you this script because I am really fascinated by this. So let me just share the screen. I'm just going to show you the output, and let's see how you feel about this. So I think this was remarkable. So let me share the screen. So I have given all of you, I mean, a lot of you, I have given full marks, but that does not necessarily mean that I am particularly happy with all of these 10 marks or full marks, but there's one script that I found particularly amazing. So this is the output of that particular script. So I think this is the script of Raqibul Islam. Raqib is here?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so it's wonderful to see that you have tried to make these things as much as possible to the generated one. So can you briefly tell us that how did you do it? Let me share the code also. So this is the code.
ওকে স্যার আমি আসলে ভ্যাকসিন দিতে আসি আমি ফোনে
Okay.
তবে সময় আমি বলতে পারবো আপনি স্ক্রিনটা শেয়ার দেন
So I have shared the screen. Can you see it?
Yes, আর স্যার নয়েজ করে আমি
No worries.
লাইনে দাঁড়াই আছি
Oh, okay. So is it a bad time?
না স্যার
Okay, so quickly give us your how you did it in 1 minute so that others can learn.
স্যার আমরা কি সাইড বাই সাইড শেয়ার করতে পারি?
Sure. So this is the code, and also this is the generated output. So this is the code, and this is the output. Yeah. Can you see it?
Okay. স্যার প্রথমে আমি যেটা করছি সেটা হচ্ছে একটা কন্টেইনারে এই টোটাল এই হোয়াইট বক্সটা নিয়েছি আর ব্যাকগ্রাউন্ডটা ওই গ্রে দিছি।
So it's called table. Oh, the container. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Inside you have a table.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
টেবিল এন্ড তারপর ফিল্টার যেই এই আইকনটা ছিল যেটা প্রোভাইড করছিলেন সেটা আমি একটা ফিল্টার ক্লাসে এই 25 পিক্সেল দিছি এন্ড দেন টেবিল নামে একটা টোটাল ডিভ নিছি যেটা হচ্ছে হোল টেবিল ইয়ে করবে আর যদি ইন্সপেক্ট করে দেখি তাহলে স্যার আরো ভালো হয়।
So this is the table. You have
Yes, this is the table.
Okay. So you have This is the table, right? Okay.
So
And this is actually a flexbox container, right?
yes, sir. Flexible container and
Excellent.
flex direction row.
Excellent. So how did you create the columns?
সরি স্যার ফ্লেক্সিশন কলামস এন্ড তারপরে ভিতরে সবগুলো হচ্ছে আবার ফ্লেক্স কন্টেইনার ওই সব হচ্ছে ওইটাও রো এন্ড দেন উপরে যে একটা হেডার যেটা হচ্ছে বোল্ড ওইটা একটা কন্টেইনার আর ওইটার লাইন হাইট দিচ্ছে হচ্ছে 30 যাতে হচ্ছে নিচের আন্ডারলাইনটা নিচে চলে আসে তাহলে একেবারে ইমিডিয়েট কাছাকাছি চলে আসে।
So how did you create the underline?
এটা স্যার হচ্ছে শুধু বর্ডার বটম ওই কন্টেইনারের। হ্যাঁ।
Okay. So it's wonderful to see that you have done it in exactly how I wanted it, and I'm really happy to see the output. Just tell me one thing: why did you name the title as Facebook?
ও সরি স্যার, এটা হচ্ছে আগের দিন আমি যে প্র্যাকটিস করতেছিলাম তো ওই প্র্যাকটিস ফাইলে আমি এডিট করা শুরু করছিলাম, এই জন্য স্যার পরে টাইটেলটা চেঞ্জ করা হয়নি।
Okay, that's good. So thank you, Rakib. I really expect you and the others to also try to imitate the things that I share as much as possible. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
So I'm really excited for today because we have a lot to learn today, and I have shared the content of today's class in our week 5 folder. So if you could if all of you could go to the week 5 folder and download the 2 PDFs. Today we're going to be jumping into the world of JavaScript. So I want you to download the 2 PDFs, and we are going to be working specially on the string and the array, the first PDF. So please download the PDFs and we'll start from here.
Sir, assignment কি আজকে 6টা পর্যন্ত ছিল?
Yes.
স্যার সামহ বাড়ানো যায় কোনোভাবে?
That would be very unfair.
ছিলাম কয়েকদিন যাবত স্যার আমি।
Okay, so if you're sick, so what you do is you submit. I will see if I could give you some mark, but you will not get the full mark. Okay. If you have medical condition, you can email me with the submission and also the medical certificate and everything. I will try to consider this. Okay. So I hope all of you could also submit the homework, and I'm really excited to see how you have done it. And how was the homework? Did you all do it?
Yes, sir.
Sir, it was tough.
Yes, sir. I know it was tough. That's why it's a homework. What was that?
Sir, I was also a bit sick for the past few days, so I couldn't submit either. But I will try to submit it today, inshallah.
Okay, so if you want it to be considered, because it's very late, if you want it to be considered, you will actually have to provide some medical document also. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So I know it's tough, but I really wanted to give you a bit of flash of Flexbox before you move on to the world of JavaScript. Because after these classes, we are not really going to be bothered about the CSS that much. So
একটা কোশ্চেন ছিল।
Yes, okay.
আচ্ছা, অ্যাসাইনমেন্টে আইকনগুলো আমি ইউজ করতেছি গুগল ফন্ট থেকে, গুগল ফন্টে যে ম্যাটেরিয়াল আইকন, এটা কোনো সমস্যা হবে?
No problem. As long as some icon is there, it should be fine. You don't. I'm really happy that you actually imported the icons like the CDN, but you can also cut or crop the screenshot and use them as icons as well. Don't worry.
স্যার আইকন ইম্পোর্ট করেছি বাট মানে সবগুলো আইকন পাইনি, দেখা গেছে
No problem.
60% পেয়েছি, বাকিগুলো কাছাকাছি কিছু।
What about the others? What about the others? What did you do about the others?
The icons from the CDN link and the font version 5, but all the icons are not there. Like
No problem. So what did you do about the other icons that were not there?
Sir, I take close enough
Okay.
like
Similar.
So as long as you did not,
similar.
as long as you did not put them as blank, it should be fine. Okay. All right.
Okay.
So before I start today's class, I have a very important thing to talk about, and that is we are going to have a makeup class on the next week. And all of you know that the second class after today's class is going to be on the 15th of August. So that's going to be a holiday. So we are not really going to have that class. So we are going to have an advanced makeup class. Okay. So the problem is that ideally the next class should be the last class before the midterm, but we are going to have the class after the midterm immediately after that class. So that is a bit of problem, because if you remember that we had talked about this, that we're going to have our third sitting on the first day after the midterm. So that means on the 7th class. So we're seeing that we are going to have our second city on the next week on JavaScript, and also immediately after that class, which means we're going to have our second city on the next class, and ideally we would have to have the third city on the Monday's class. So that's a bit of problem. And so the way I am thinking about it is that in the last class we have talked about JavaScript, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So not a lot, but a bit of JavaScript. So I'm thinking that on the 8th of August, we are going to have the class test only on that portion of JavaScript. And today I'm going to be talking about array and string. So I want you to give the third sitting on the JavaScript's array and string based on today's class on the 9th of August. So what do you think about that?
So it's something bit tough for us to manage that.
I understand that this is tough, but the other option would be to squeeze the city into the later portion of our schedule. But I really don't want to do that, because since we are learning about JavaScript now, the ideas will be fresh. If you give a city on JavaScript after the midterm, you will not really be able to remember a lot of things. So, yes?
Sir, it's okay, because as there is only one class for a city, so the syllabus is small, I think.
The syllabus is small, and my concern is that you are going to be getting equal amount of time between the discussion and the city. So last week we talked about a bit of JavaScript, and you're going to have the city on this on the 8th of August. And this week we're going to be talking about some other things, and you're going to have 1 week to study about these things, right? And you have also done your homework, so you are free about this. So that's how I am thinking. So what do you think?
9th August পর কি নেওয়া যায়? It will be better for us.
9th. I would rather not. Let's finish the problem in the class. Let's have the topic that we are going to talk here, maybe 1.5 hours. We're going to do a lot of practice. So the things that I'm going to be talking, only those things will be in the city here. How does that sound?
Sir,
Yes?
Assignment marking কেমন করবেন স্যার? Assignment ভালোভাবে করতে পারিনি স্যার।
No worries. So did you not see the mark distribution on the assignment?
জি স্যার, স্যার যে লাস্ট পার্টটা যে আমার হয়তো কোডে কোনো বাগ ছিল, মানে কোনো জায়গায় ভুল করছি আমি, ওই অনেক বিশাল কোড হয়ে গেছে তো আমি পাইছিলাম না। পরে স্যার ওটাও লাস্ট একটা মানে ওই কর্নারে যাইতেছিল না, মানে আমি রো ওয়াইজ করছিলাম লাস্টের ওই জায়গায়।
Don't worry. If you have submitted it, don't worry about it. Okay? So we are talking about the schedule. Rashid was saying something? I think Iman was saying something.
Next time this shift করা যায় না 15th August exam টা?
15th August is a holiday. If I take exam on 15th August, we are not going to be continuing the course. I will be in jail. Okay? So
yes,
it's better to avoid this date, and let's we are going to have a holiday here, so we really want a holiday. So let's have the 2 cities here. And what do you think about the syllabus? Is it good?
জি স্যার, সিলেবাসটা তো আপনি শর্ট করে দিয়েছেন। আই থিংক সো বেটার হবে স্যার।
Yeah. So the 8th August, it's going to be like a C programming city. So in a C programming, you know how to do an if else, and you know how to do a for loop, and you know how to do take input, and you know how to take output. So only based on these things, you're going to have this city. And today we're going to be talking about the string and array, and you're going to have the city on the 9th of August in this. Okay? So let's have that.
8 তারিখে কি আমাদের সিটি হবে জাভাস্ক্রিপ্টের যেটা বিগিনিং এ করেছিলাম, আর 9 এর হবে হলো পরের গুলি জাভাস্ক্রিপ্টের।
Exactly. So the thing that we have studied, we are going to be studying today. Inshallah.
স্যার 8 তারিখের কোশ্চেন প্যাটার্ন একটু বলুন স্যার 8 তারিখের কোশ্চেন
The
প্যাটার্ন
question pattern you will understand when you will see today's practice problem. So if you open this file right here, this PDF, you have a bit of practice problem that is probably somewhere here. So these are the practice problems. So I'm going to be giving maybe 1 or 2 problems in the city. Something that is going to be similar to this. Both of the city will have the same question pattern. Maybe in the second one, I will introduce some bit of HTML element, but that will depend. If I cannot cover these things, I will not mention them here. It will be only on JavaScript. So the question pattern on the 8th and the 9th will be like this. Yes?
স্যার তাহলে কি মিড টার্ম 22 তারিখে হবে?
The midterm will be on the midterm schedule. And the topics that we are going to be learning on 9th of August will not be part of the midterm. So the topics of the midterm will strictly be till 8th of August, the first 6 classes. Okay. So if we get an extra time, we're going to be spending them on Django. We're not really going to be focusing more on the JavaScript and the CSS. We are going to jump onto the server side. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. So yes, midterm will be just like how you have done the city. I think you will have some bit of theoretical problems. Yeah, I might ask you about some HTML element, how do we do certain things, and how to avoid certain things, and about the images and the links. Some theoretical aspect will be there, and you will also have to design some bit of HTML stuff as well. So it's going to be like a written exam, but it will contain the things that you have done in the city as well. Okay.
Okay, sir.
All right. So let's start today's class. I'm really excited for today because today we're going to be seeing the actual paradigm of JavaScript. So I have one experience that I want to share before I start today's class, and that is, so have you ever have you ever gone through Java programming language? Did you do Java?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir. In the object-oriented segment.
yes, in the object-oriented segment, you will have a Java programming language. So when I first learned Java in our university, I thought that when I first saw Java, actually in the university, I thought that, okay, it's completely like C++. So I did not really spend too much time learning about the nitty-gritty about Java. So I thought it was like C++. So since I know C++ very well, I will not really spend much time learning about Java. And that was probably one of my biggest mistakes in life, because at first glance, you will think that Java and C++ are quite similar in terms of syntax, but actually it's quite the opposite. The way Java works is completely different from C. So I was seeing that there are a lot of syntax error. The function is not returning the way I wanted to return. I'm not able to access the variables and so on. So the reason why it happened is because I did not understand the paradigm of Java. So how Java works, I did not understand at first. So there's a difference between learning the syntax and learning how to do a certain thing on that particular language. So in today's class, we're going to be seeing how to do certain things in JavaScript. So in the last class, we had talked about JavaScript extensively, that it's very similar to C++ and C, and that is true in terms of the syntax. But the way we are going to be processing the data is going to be quite different, because the JavaScript is actually made for processing data and generating output at the same time. So I'm going to be showing you how to do these things in a standard way, and we're going to be learning about a lot of the built-in functions. So I want you to follow along when I am typing the code. So I also want you to create a blank index.html file, and then we shall start exploring some bit of syntax in terms of JavaScript. So open a index.html file in your computer, and also open the same file in your favorite notepad. And what I'm going to be doing is that I'm going to be creating a HTML schema that will contain the head and the body. So you can copy the code from another file. And who remembers where do we write the JavaScript codes in our HTML file?
Sir, before the body ending tag.
Before the body ending tag. Why not somewhere else?
স্যার যাতে স্যার স্ক্রিপ্ট পার্টটা সবার শেষে লোড হয়, আগে ফুল HTML and CSS টা লোড হয় তারপর।
Right. So basically, when the client is trying to see the page, all they are interested in at first is the visible portion. So if I write my JavaScript code at the top, the browser will try to render the JavaScript code first and then load the visible parts. So the client will see that the page is taking too much time to load. What he or she will not understand that the browser is actually working on the individual parts before the visible part. So they will think that the website is sluggish. So we don't really want that. So that's one reason why actually we put the script at the bottom of our body. So another reason is that most of the time we actually want to hook or inject different codes into the elements that are inside the body. So we want the elements to be loaded, and then we would want to inject the scripts inside the JavaScript. I mean the body elements. So now we have a code right here that does not really do anything. So what we want to do is that we want to open up the console window, because today we are mainly going to be working with the console. So if I right click on my blank screen, all of you are following me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, please, I would request you that you follow this, so you don't
Yes,
really
sir.
have to work, or you don't really have to study after the class. We are really going to do a lot of stuff, and we are going to learn a lot of wonderful things today, inshallah. I'm really excited for this. So this is the console that we have right here, and the console actually is a connection to the JavaScript script, actually, or the what it's called an interpreter. So it's actually connected to that. And what is cool is that when you declare a variable or a function here, you can actually call or you can modify these things here as well. So let me show that to you. So the first thing that we're going to be learning is how to declare a string. And that is really important. So let's try to declare a string. And do you remember how to declare any variable in JavaScript?
Sir,
Using the let variable. So we are going to use the standard one, which is the let. There's an older version, which is called the var, which we are going to be avoiding. So let's create a variable called let and create a variable called a, and that will hold a string called hello world. So this is a string. And what we have done is that we have done a semicolon after the line, because it's similar to C, that after finishing a statement, we are going to be putting a semicolon after that. But if you don't do that, then JavaScript will not really mind. If I now run this, nothing will happen because I did not really print anything. So how do I show this in the console?
The console.log.
Console.log. So we have learned about two objects in the last class. One is the console, through which we have access to the control right here, which is not really visible for the clients. But when you're doing a bit of debugging in your page, you would want to print out the values of the variables to test whether the values are being received correctly or not. So for this, you use the console. So I would want to print the value of a. So as you can see, we have the console that is printing the value of the string. So what we can do is that we can also access the variables from here. So if I now type a, I would be able to see that if you, I'm not sure if you can see this, it is suggesting that the value of a is hello world. So if I print a, press enter now, it will actually show that this is actually hello world. So when you are working with a string, the first thing that you would need to consider, you would want to know is what is the length of the string. So the way to find out the length of a string or an array is by using the property. All you have to do is that you will have to put dot length, and this will give you the size of the string. So what is the size of the string? 11 characters. So there are 11 characters. So unlike C, where you have a null character at the end, you don't really have to worry about the null characters at the end. So you just worry about the visible ones. So there are 11 characters. So if I now run this, I will see that it will print 11. So the length of the string is now 11. The next thing that I would want to do is that I would want to select certain portion of the string. So let's say, for example, I would want to select the first 5 characters of the string. So if I want to select the first 5 characters of the string, if I now zoom this, I want to show this to you here directly from the console. Let me just zoom this a bit so that you can see it a bit more clearly. Let's see if that works. I'm not sure if the magnifier is on. Yeah, it's on. So let's try to zoom this a bit. So now you understand. How many of you can see the 11 in your computer? Can you run this?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so it's working. All right. So now, since the page is loaded, it now has the access to the variable that we had declared. We can also write console.log on the right side, but we can also access this from here directly. So what I can do is that let's print A first. So this is the A, which is the value of hello world, which has the value hello world. So what I would want to do is the first thing that I would want to do is that I want to know what is the first character. So if I want to know the first character of the string, what is the index of the first character?
Sir, 0.
0. So the way to access this is I would simply say 0, and it would give me the first character. And obviously, if I want to know about the second character, I would type 1, and it would give me the second character. So if I want to select a lot of characters together, I will have to use a function called slice. And in this function, I will have to mention the starting character index and the index after the last character. So let's say I want to select only the hell from the hello word. So what is going to be the starting index?
0.
0. So if I want to select hell from this, literally, so where should I end my index?
5.
4, sir.
Is it going to be 5 or 4? It's going to be which character?
O, sir.
I will actually have to go to O. So this is the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I type 4, it will cut the string before 4. So if I now type 0, 4, it will actually give me hell. So what when I am doing a slice, it would actually give me from the starting index to the character before the second index. And this is a common pattern in all the programming languages. If you're doing slicing in Python, you will have to have this pattern as well. So the starting index is for the starting index, and the last index is basically the index after the last character. So this is something that you will have to keep in mind. So you tell me now, what shall you have to do if you want to select war, W-O-R? How shall I slice the string if I want to select war?
So 0.
What
Sir,
will be the
6.
starting index?
6.
Sir,
Okay.
6 to 9, sir,
So
maybe.
6 to 9. Let's see if this is 6. So if we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the white space is the 6, I think. No, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. White space is 5, and this is 6. So we want to start from this one, and where shall we end? We would end in R.
7.
So we would have to give the index of L, right? So 6, 7, 8, 9. So if I do a slice now, and I would mention the starting address as 6, and the ending address will be the ending characters, next characters index. So it will be 9, and it would give us war, right? So if I want to cut portion of the string, I would have to use the function called slice. And obviously you could do this in here also, but in that case, I would have to refresh this again and again. So we have an interactive compiler that actually accesses all the variables, and we can also clear the console using this button. So if I want to clear this, I would have this cleared, but all the variables are actually here. So we have learned about slice, and there are some other things that are very useful. So I want to know if the string that is here contains the word hello. If I want to know whether this string contains the word hello, I would actually have a function for this. I would write includes, and I would write hello. And if I now call this function, it would return true. So it means it contains the characters hello. So it's very useful that if you want to find a bit of phrase in your string, you would just use this function. And if you want to know more about these things, you would have to use another functions, for example, search or substring and so on. But this is the most useful one. That if you want to know an existence of a particular character or sequence of character in your string, you will have to use a function called includes. And you have to be careful because the function is actually case sensitive, which means if you write includes and mention hello, it would actually return false. Why would it return false?
Because it's case sensitive.
Because I have written smaller case h, because and the actual string contains a uppercase h, so it would actually not work. So in order to make it work, I will actually have to either convert the actual string into uppercase, and I would actually type the include in the uppercase also, or I will actually convert the string into the lowercase, and I would actually call the function in the lowercase. So the way I can do that is by typing a dot to uppercase, and this would actually convert the string into the uppercase. So if you notice, you will see that the original string remains the same, and the to uppercase function actually returns a new string to us. So either we can save this variable into a new variable, or we can actually chain the function here. So what we can do is that we can write a dot to uppercase, and this would convert, it would return a uppercase value of the string, and that on that string we would want to run a particular function called includes. Since this is a string as well, so we would type includes hello, and this would probably return true because it returns a uppercase version of the string, and we are searching for the uppercase version here. And who can tell me how can we do this by typing this in the lowercase?
Sir, a dot to lowercase.
Excellent, to lowercase. So we also have another function called to lowercase, and if I do that, will the original a variable change?
No, sir.
No. If I do this, if you check now, if I just print a, I will see that the original variable remains the same. But this function actually returns a value, and we are working on that return value. So the original variable is safe, and we're happy about that. So we can do the same thing. If I want to convert this into the lowercase one, so I would type a dot to lowercase, and we have a function like this as well. And I want to know whether this string now contains the keyword hello. So I would say includes maybe let's say word. So it will actually return true, although the original string contained the W in the uppercase. So if I want to search for a string, but I don't really want to be bothered with the cases, I would actually have to convert all the string into either uppercase or lowercase before I perform my search. So these are the common functions that are there for string, and there's one function that I find really funny, and that function is really interesting, and that is called repeats. So if you have a string, you have a function called repeat, and if you do a value, it will actually repeat the value 5 times for you. So this is something that is available in Python, and we can do a lot of wonderful stuff with it using this function. So if you have a string called, let's say, star, and this is a string in JavaScript, and if you use repeat here, and if you say repeat 10, it would actually print star 10 times. And this is useful sometimes when we are trying to mask something. So do you understand how these things work? Yes.
Sir, if I want to give a space between the stars, then what should I do?
Okay, so you want to give a space between the stars right here. So can anyone answer this for me?
স্যার অ্যাস্টেরিক্সের পরে স্পেস দিলেই তো হবে।
Yes. If I want to put a space between, all I have to do is put a star and then a space and then in this. And if I now repeat this, it would actually give me the stars with the spaces. And there are many other things that you can do that is similar to this.
স্যার এগুলো কি সব রিটার্ন ফাংশন?
So these are all return functions. So the original function does not really change. The original variable does not change.
Sir.
Yes.
Yes. Question?
No, sir.
No. Yes.
আমরা যখন হ্যান্ড রাইজ করি ওইটা কি স্যার আপনি একটু দেখলে ভালো হয়, কারণ
অবশ্যই
ইন্টারাপ্ট না করে হ্যান্ড রাইজ করলে যদি একটু
I really want you to interrupt actually. I really want you to interrupt because I cannot see the hand raise.
স্লাইজ স্যার ওই যে সাইলেন্ট যখন করলেন স্যার একটা করে ওয়ার্ড ওইটা একটু দেখাবেন আবার?
Sure. So you are talking about slice, right?
Yes, sir.
So did you declare a variable? Are you testing this in your computer?
Sir, I have no computer now.
Okay, don't worry. So did you see where did we declare this variable? In our string, right? In our actual HTML file, right? So we are working on this string. So what the slice function does is that it actually extracts some characters from the string. So let's say I want to extract hello from our string. So I would actually call the function and write slice, and I would mention the starting index and the index after the character that I want to extract. So if
মানে স্টার্টিং ইনডেক্সটা কেন আমরা নিচ্ছি?
So have you sliced a cake in any kind of party? You have to cut cakes. So someone have a preference that they want to have the cake piece with the flower on top. Have you seen that? Some people have a fascination that they want to have the cake piece where there's a flower, or their name has the portion, so they want to have a cake piece with their name on the top. So if you slice that portion of the cake, you would actually have to cut on the both sides. So similar to this, if you want to have a slice of the string, you will have to mention the starting from where you are trying to cut and to where you want to cut. So that's why you have to mention the two indexes. One is the starting and another one is the ending. So if I want to extract hello, what will be the starting index?
0.
If I use 0, it will start from H.
স্যার 0 দিলে তো H থেকে স্টার্ট হবে, স্টার্টিং।
Oh, I'm talking about hello. I mean ELLO. If I want to have only hello, not H.
স্যার তাহলে 1 দিতে হবে।
Yes. And what will be the ending index?
Ending হবে তাহলে
will it be 4 or 5?
স্যার মানে যে এখানে যে শেষ হবে ওটা দিতে হবে, মানে যে পর্যন্ত নিব।
No, ওটার পরেরটা দিতে হবে।
তাহলে তো হবে স্যার 5।
ওটা পরেরটা দিতে হবে। তাহলে সেটা হবে 5, কারণ
ও 5 স্যার
5 হবে, কারণ হচ্ছে কি দেখো ও পর্যন্ত ইনডেক্স হচ্ছে 4, রাইট? এটা হচ্ছে 0 1 2 3 4, তার মানে এখানে শেষ করতে হবে, তার মানে এর পরেরটা ইনডেক্স হিসেবে দিতে হবে। তার মানে এটা যেহেতু 4, কাজে আমাকে দিতে হবে 5. Yeah, so if I do that, I will get hello. And obviously, the main string will remain the same. So I'm really happy that you are asking questions. So if anyone have any other question, please let me know. Because these are really, we have like hundreds of functions, and I have picked up only the most important ones. And these are the ones that you should memorize, and you should have them in your hand. So the functions that I have mentioned, they are very common, and they are used in web programming a lot. So I hope this is clear to you. And there's one other function that is really powerful, and that is that if you want to, let's say I declare a variable here.
Sir.
Yes.
So can you use this like slice function to like select a portion of the text and then make changes to it at the same time? Like we want to make the
If you
yellow
want to,
uppercase at the
yes.
same time.
If you want to do that, you have a direct function for this. It's called replace. So let's say if you want to replace this, you will say that you will want to replace hello with hello, and this would actually the H1 was already uppercase, so other one will also be uppercase, and this is not saved here. So the replace function will return a new string.
Yes.
Okay, so you have a direct function for this. I think this is also mentioned in the slide. Okay, so so these are the things, and I really want to highlight one function before I move on to the next part, and that is called split. And this is really useful. And let me try to declare a variable first. So we can also declare variables here. Let me declare a variable called b, and inside, let's say I have a lot of countries. So let's say we have Bangladesh, and you tell me what is the next country.
India.
India. You have to be politically correct. Okay. What is the next one? Germany.
Germany.
Let me know if I am making a mistake. Any other country?
Pakistan.
Okay. In August, we are talking about Pakistan. Okay. Any other country?
Australia.
Australia. Why are you giving me the tough names? Australia. I think I'm getting it right. Okay. And I need one other country.
China.
Argentina.
China. Okay. COVID-19. No, not a country. So this is a string that contains a few countries. So I'm clearly saying that there are a lot of countries, and what I want to do is that I want to convert this string into a list of countries. So there's a very easy and very useful way of doing this, and this is called split. So is it clear that, to everyone that this is a string?
Yes, sir.
This is a string, definitely, because it is bracketed by the inverted commas. So if I want to convert it into a list, all I have to do is that I will have the variable, and I will call the function split, and I will mention the delimiter, the one that is separating the items in the string. So if I call a split here, it will actually create an array for me containing all the things that I really want to see. So it will actually create an array for me, and we're going to be talking about array in a second. So it will create an array of 6 elements, and it will actually return an array for me. So if I now do a split, and if I want to check what is the first item in the list, I will just mention something like this, similar to the array. And if I want to check what is the second country or the third country, I will see Germany here. So this is how I can actually convert a list which is inside a string into a string. So this is probably the last function of the string that we are going to be talking about. So do you understand how this works?
Yes, sir.
If I want to split the words inside this hello world, what shall I have to do?
Space.
Space হবে.
A dot
Here,
space.
exactly. So here the delimiter is actually the space. So if I do this, I will actually get the 2 words that we have right here. And this is really wonderful, and it is incredibly useful. And in a lot of cases, you will find that you're going to be using this. And also, if you have a text file that contains multiple lines of text, you will have to select only one line at a time. How shall you split it?
New line.
Yes, you will actually have to use the new line for this. Excellent. So let's say if I have a string that contains this is a line, and there's a new line, and then we have this is another line, and then we finish this. And if I print C, we are not really going to be seeing this because it does not really support that. So if I want to split this, all I have to do is c.split, and I will mention the new line, and it should do the trick. So we are going to be seeing that the two lines are actually separated. So this is a very, very useful function. And yes. So did you get this one?
Yes, sir.
So when you are reading a group of text that contains a lot of lines that are separated by the new lines, you will see that the new lines are basically /n, something that you have probably learned from C programming language, right?
Yes, sir.
So if you take the input that contains multiple lines, and if you want them to divide into, you want to take each line as an item of the array, all you have to do is that call the split function with the delimiter that is dividing the items here. You should mention this into the split function, and it will split the two lines into the two items of the array. Since we have /n dividing the two lines, we're going to be using /n to split the content into the two items. Yes?
এখানে 2 এর পাশে একটা ডাইরেকশন অ্যারো দিয়েছে স্যার, ওইটা কি?
Oh, so if I click this, it will actually split the items. So this is the first item, this is the second item, and this is the length. So we are really going to be talking about the console, and this div panel right here, we have a lot of things here. We can do a lot of powerful things, and we are particularly going to be seeing about the lighthouse here. And so this is something that we're going to be talking about when we are on week 7. So the week 7 is all going to be about the browser. So we're going to be seeing how to do different type of console. So you have, so far we have learned about only the console log, but you can do a lot of other consoles as well. For example, you can do console, sorry. But error. So it would give you a different type of error. So it would actually highlight the background of this. So if you want to print an error, you will actually have to use error for this. If you want to print a debug, you can also do that. So it would actually, I think this didn't probably work. So there are a lots of other notations as well, so that you can do to highlight a lot of things. So the console is really powerful. So if you print a object, it would actually show different attributes and different methods of the object inside the console. So if you just break it down, it would actually mention here which line it occurred on, right? So this is not a simple console like we have seen in the C programming language, but this is a much more interactive one. So I want you to go to the slide, and I want you to tell me which functions did I miss. I want you to go to the slide and tell me which function did I miss.
Sir, index of.
Okay, so what do you think the index of does?
So it just returns the index maybe.
So if we want to search for a particular string or a character, you would just pass down that particular substring, and it will find the index or the first starting index of that substring here. What is the method? What do you think the method starts with does?
It just checks if the character is in the beginning of a string.
So it's kind of like includes, but it checks whether the substring is in the beginning. So if I do a starts with hello in our A string, will it return true or false?
True.
It will return true because the string starts with hello. And obviously, the same thing is true for end string. So there are other things as well. For example, one thing that is very important is trim. So if you have taken an input and it contains a lot of white space at the front and the back, you would call the trim function to remove the white space from the both ends before you start processing this, because you don't really want the spaces to be processed. So there are other things as well, for example, the index of, but we have seen the uses of the index of using the third bracket. So we are not really going to be bothered about these things. So if you want to know the Unicode value of this, you would use the character code @ or if you want to convert from the Unicode value or the ASCII value to the actual character, you would use this function. So these are the string methods, but the most important are the ones that I talked about. Yes? Yes?
So can you please give an example of this from char code function?
So from char code function is if you want to convert Unicode values into character. So all of these are actually links. So if you go to them, it would actually take you to the actual example side. So this is the actual library of the string. And if you want to know what is the character representation of 65, you would actually call it like this. So do you remember that in your C programming class, you had a list of ASCII values?
Yes.
So
Yes,
the
sir.
uppercase ones were at the beginning from the 65 and the lowercase were from the 97. So if you want to convert from the ASCII character to the actual character, from the code to the actual character, you would use this function. But unlike C, we don't really use these functions a lot. You would remember that in the C, we would actually have to be worried about how to compare the strings, whether it is between this and that. So we don't really have to work with those things in JavaScript a lot. Rather, we have to work like these things. You will see when we do the examples. Okay. So all of these links are actually active. So if you click on them, it will actually take you to the actual site with the examples and all. So this was about the string methods. And so from the string, the more important thing from the string is the array. So the strings are like array, but all you have to do is that if you want to have multiple elements together, you will actually have to use an array. And in order to declare an array, you will actually have to enclose them in the third bracket. So let's try to declare an array and try to see whether it works or not. So let's declare an array. You can have any name you want. And inside the array, you can have characters, you can have string, you can have float, you can have numbers, you can have anything you want. And the arrays do not really have to be unique or of the same type. So if you remember in the C, you would have to have an array of integer, or you would have to have an array of character. But here, you can combine a lot of things together. So you can have an array of 10, 20, 30, and then you would want to have an A, B, and C. So you can have anything you want in your array. It's not a problem. So let's try to access the array from here. I think, where did it go? Oh, it's here. So let's try to access the array from here. Let me refresh this for once. So if I now want to access the array, I would just type array, and it would give me access to the array. So as you can see, this is the array, and it contains the items. And the bracket says that it contains 6 elements. So if you actually want to know how many elements there are, you would actually want to use array.length. It would give you the length of the array. Who can tell me how can I print all the elements in the array? One by one.
Using for loop?
Using the for loop. So let's try to use the for loop for now. So if I want to use the for loop, how shall I write this? What shall I write? Or
so like in C.
Like in C, yes, of course. For
there will be I equal to 0.
I will have to declare the I. So I would say let I equals to 0, and then
I equal to length of the array.
I less than
equal.
Less than, if I do less than equal to,
it will be less than.
It will actually be less than, because if you think about it, we're going to be comparing it with the length.
From 0 index.
From 0 to length minus 1, right? So the index will start from 0 and it will end at length minus 1. So we'll have to compare it less than length. So how do I get the length of the array?
Array.length.
Array.length, just like we have seen here. So and then we would pass down I++, just like C++ or C, and we're going to be writing console.log, and we're going to be writing I, right?
Yes, sir.
No. Now
Oh,
I
no,
would
sir,
give
it
us,
will be array bracket I.
yes. So the I actually gives us the index of the array, but we would want to print the value of the array. So we would say that L, and how do I access? I would actually put them in the third bracket. So it would give me access to that index of that array. So if I now refresh this, I should be able to see all the items sequentially. So the 11 was actually the previous printout, which was the length. If I refresh this now, I should be able to see all the lengths that are all the items that are actually here. So there is a shortcut way of doing this, and that shortcut is actually something like this. So every time I want to access all the elements of the array one by one, I have a standard way of doing this. So here I am actually getting the indexes first, and then through the indexes I am actually getting the items. But sometimes all I want, and most of the time that is the case, that all I want is the element of the array. I'm not really bothered about the index.
So you
So
for each loop.
yes, it's like the for each loop that you have seen probably in Java. So in order to do this, all you have to do is type for, and here you are not really worried about the index. So you would want to have directly the item from the array one by one. So you would declare a variable, let's say item, and you would say that I want the array to hand me over elements one by one. So you would type let item of array. And what it will do, it is that it will hand you over the items one by one of this particular array. And all you can do is then console.log. And if you do that, it will actually print the values to you the same manner. So if I now comment this out, it would actually give me the same result. I wanted to take a good look at this syntax right here. So this is a shortcut of writing these things. Is it clear how I have done that?
Yes.
So since I'm not really worried about the index, all I care about is the items. So I want the for loop is to hand over me the items one by one. So I would actually use a shortcut that looks like this. And we're going to be learning a lot of the shortcuts, especially about the array, because this class is all about array. Even when we are working on the string, we would want to convert the string into an array before we are, so that we can apply the for loop here. Because in JavaScript, 90% of the cases, you will have a bunch of data. You will want to apply some logic into those bunch of data. And the first thing that you would want to do is that you would convert those bunch of data into the array, and then you will apply the logics that we're going to be learning here. So the first thing that you would want to do with the array is you would want to know what is a particular element. And we have already seen that if you want to know about the first index, you would use array.0, and it would give you the first element. And you can do the slicing using the slice function as well, similar to the array. So let's say if I do a slice, and I would start from 0 until 2, and it will actually give me the first two items. So if I do this, it will actually return an array that will contain the first two items of the list. So who can tell me how can I find out the last two items of the array?
So -1.
Oh, the -1 actually does not work in JavaScript. You cannot have -1. If I do a -1, I'm not sure if it will work. It is undefined. It works in Python beautifully. So if I want to have the last two units, just calculate manually.
So array length -1 থেকে 10 পর্যন্ত.
Just tell me manually. So what is the index of this one?
Sir, it will be 5 starting index.
And
so ending will be nothing there.
Ending
so
will
what
be
is the
4.
starting index?
Start from 3,
four,
sir.
four.
So
Starting from 4.
Yes, we will have to start from 4. If I start from 5, it is the last in item, right? So I want to have the last two items. So I will
4 to
start
6.
from 4. And if I shall I end at 5?
No, sir.
No,
6.
I'll have to go to the next one, right? So this is the rule of the slicing. So I have to start from 4 and then 6. And this would give me the last two elements. I think I I actually accidentally said slice, so that would actually change the array. So let me not talk about slice for now. So let me run this again. Just refresh this again. Yeah, it's refreshed. So now let me try to run this again. Excuse me. Oops. It's gone. Okay, the console. So now let me try to print the array again. So it's good. Now, if I want to know the slice, I want to take the from 4 to 6. It would give me the last two items.
স্যার এখানে ব্যাকওয়ার্ড স্লাইস করা যায় না?
We can do a backward slice. It's a very neat trick. All you have to do is reverse and then slice.
স্যার অ্যারে লেন্থ -2 থেকে অ্যারে লেন্থ পর্যন্ত করা যায় স্যার।
Yeah, you can also do that. Are you talking about 6, 4?
না স্যার অ্যারে লেন্থ -2 মানে স্যার ফাংশন ভিতরে দিয়ে দিলে স্যার।
Oh, so if you don't want to calculate the index manually.
Yes sir.
Yes, of course you can do that. But here we just wanted to test our knowledge, so that's why we did this. And if I now do a slice, it would not really change the content, so the content would remain the same. Okay. And so the most important things that we would want to do is that we have an array, and we would want to add some new data to the array, and we would want to remove some new data from the array. So the most common one is adding data in the front and adding data in the back, and deleting data from the back and deleting data from the front. So if you want to push data at the back of the array, you will actually have to use a function called push. So let's say if I push maybe another value 40, it would actually push 40 into the array. So now I will see that the 40 is actually pushed at the back. And if I want to remove this from the back, what function shall I have to use?
Sir, pop.
What is the opposite of push? It is pop. So all I have to do is call the function pop, and it would return the popped value as a return value, and the function will actually change the array, and the value that I had pushed will actually be deleted. So the push is pop. The push and pop is for the beginning of the array or the end of the array?
End of the array, sir.
The end of the array. Excellent. So if I want to do the same thing, but at the beginning of the array, I shall have to use two different functions. One is called shift, and another one is called unshift. So if I want to shift the first item and I want to move the first item, I want to delete the first item, I will actually have to use something called the shift. So if I do an array dot shift, it would actually pop, but from the beginning. So what value shall it return?
20, 30, ABC.
10.
If I do a shift, it will return the value that it popped.
Oh,
so what
10.
is the only value it popped? It is 10. So it would actually return 10. And if I now check the state of the array, I will see what you have said, that 20, 30, ABC. So it had actually removed the first element using the shift function. So what is the opposite of the shift function?
Sir, unshift.
Unshift. So if I want to add something at the beginning of the array, all I have to do is call unshift. So I want to add 10 at the beginning of the array. It will not actually return. It will actually return the length of the array. As I can see, I actually forgot. So if I now print array, I will see that it is now added at the front. So we have learned how to delete and add at the beginning, and also at the beginning or the end.
So can't we like pop something from the existing array, like using the pop function? Like
we did.
If I want to like pop the C, but it just popped the like added like 40 added element.
If you do
like
a pop
from the
here,
existing array, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, it actually modified the existing array.
Sir, but
So
what about what if I want to drop the C, like C or
Yeah.
B?
So if you want to drop the C, all you have to do is call the pop. So it will drop the C, and you will have the array without the C. Are you talking about something in the middle?
No, sir. No, sir. It's okay.
So let me get this straight. all the functions that I'm talking here are actually modifying the actual array. So it is not returning a copy of the array. This is unlike string. So in the string, we have seen that it does not actually modify the actual string. It returns a new string. But here we are working on a single array. Think about it. Who is heavier, array or string? Which one takes more memory?
Sir, array.
Obviously, the array is much more heavier. So if you are returning copies of the array, it will actually take a toll on the memory of the system, right? So you would not really want to create a copy of the array and return it. So we are actually working on the current version of the array. So
if you want to add like and C like D or E in the at front of 10, then what do you need to do?
Yeah. So you're talking about how can we add in the middle or how can we delete in the middle, right?
No, sir. I'm talking about if you want to add something before 10.
We already have seen a function like this.
Unshift.
Unshift. So what do you want to add before 10? 5?
Suppose a B.
B. Okay. So you will call the function unshift and you would put B here. And you will see that B is added in front of them.
Sir, why unshift?
One at a time, tell me.
Sir, why unshift returns the array length and shift return the value that we have added?
So the convention is that if you are adding something, you are contributing to the array and you already know what you are adding. So there is no point of returning the same value. So in that case, it will try to return something useful, and that is the new length. And if you are doing a shift, it is actually extracting a value. So it would assume that you want to know what the value you have extracted. So this is kind of like a stack. So do you remember stack and queue in data structure? So the common convention is that the one that you have popped, you would want to return the value because there is a high chance that the programmer actually wants it. Okay, so I'm going to be talking about one more function before I give you a break. And this is the most important function for now in array. So we have seen how to add or delete at the beginning and the end. And I want you to focus very much right now because this is a very complicated function. So we have an array and we have seen how to add and delete at the beginning and also at the end. So what if I want to add something in the middle and I want to delete something in the middle? So unfortunately, for all of these things, you have only one function. And that function, you have probably seen this function is called splice. So it's not slice, it is actually splice. So let's say I want to remove the 20. You tell me what is the index of 20?
So 2.
2. Everyone clear on that? So 20. So we don't really have a remove function. Instead, what we have is something called splice. I want you to pay very high attention to this. So all you have to do is type l.splice. And you will have to mention the beginning index of from where you want to delete something. So the beginning index is the 2, from where we would want to delete it, which is 20. So from this index, how many elements do you want to delete?
So
one element.
Only one element. So from this index, I want to only delete one element. So I would type 1. And this would actually go to the index 20, index 2. And from this index, it will only delete one element, which is 20. So I would get the value that I have extracted. And also the array now will have the value without 20. So if I had written 2, 2, what would have happened?
So
30 will be
20
eliminated.
and 30 will be.
So 20 will be there and 30 will be eliminated?
So both 20 and 30.
Both?
So 10,
Yes.
20 and 30.
10, 20 and 30.
So 20 and 30
No, sir,
will
20 and 30.
Yes, if I write 2, 2 here in this array, I am going to be saying to the JavaScript that, okay, you have this array, you go to the index 2, which is this one. And from this index, delete how many elements? Two elements. So I'm going to be deleting 20 and 30. So I'm going to be having on the B, 10, and A and B. So now I have this array right here. I want to delete the rest of the numbers. How shall I do this?
So array dot splice.
Remember, this is splice, okay?
1,
and
2.
Why 1, 2?
So we wanna eliminate numbers. So
Start
numbers
from
1.
Starts from index 1. And how many numbers are there from the
2 numbers?
2 numbers. So we would want to delete 2 things. So if I do this, I'm going to be getting the extracted values as an array. And if I now print this, I would be able to see that I have deleted the 2 items from here. Okay. So this was about the deleting. Does anyone have a question why the 10 and 30 is being returned? Do you understand why this is being returned?
Yes, sir.
Because this is something that we had extracted from the array. So it's common that it will return the 10 and 30. Yes, you have a question?
Sir, if we want to delete something like from 10 to A, then should we start like array dot slice 1, 3?
Excellent. Yes. If I want to delete from 10 to A, I would say that, okay, you start from 10, which is the index 1, and then you delete 3 items. So you would write 1, 3. Yes? You, someone else had a question. You did not understand the last line.
Yes, sir.
So this one? Or this one?
Yes, sir. Last line.
So here I just saw the what is the current state of the array. Can you repeat the question again? So what I have done here is that we had an array like this, and I would want to delete the numbers from here. So the numbers are starting from the index 1. So I would say that, okay, start from 1 and then delete how many numbers? There are 2 numbers. So I'm going to be putting 2 here. So it would actually extract these 2 numbers and return to them. And I'm going to be seeing that the array now contains the items without these numbers.
Sir.
Yes.
So there is no exact way to, like, if I want to like delete 10 and A and I want to keep 30 in the middle. So there is no way to do that in one line. I have to do it in 2 lines.
You will have to actually, there is a way of doing this. We're going to be seeing that using the filter.
Okay.
We can do this. We have some advanced function that I'm going to be talking about after the break. Yes?
স্যার এখানে যদি আমরা 30 এর পরে একটা জিনিস অ্যাপেন্ড করতে চাই তাহলে স্যার কেমনে করব?
Unfortunately using the same function. I'm going to show that to you. So we have so far used splice to delete something, but using the splice you can also add something. So let's say I want to also return the values, but after A. So I want to add 10, 20, 30 after A, and I don't really want to delete anything. So you tell me, where shall I put the index if I want to append certain things after A? What shall be the starting index?
3, sir.
0, 1, 2, 3 is actually here. 3 is not even in the index.
So 1.
Sir.
I will actually have to put 1 because I want to add something after A. So I want to add something after A. So what I'm going to be doing is that I'm going to be saying array splice, and I want to add something after 1. And how many elements do I want to delete?
0.
0. We don't really want to delete anything, so I'm going to be putting 0. And then I would actually mention all the items that I want to add. So let's say I want to add 10, 20, 30, and also E. So it will actually, the first 2 are actually the special parameters. And as you can see, the dot dot, they are actually the items that I would want to add. So if I now do this, it would actually not return anything because I did not really delete something. So if I now say this, I will see that after 10, I think I made a mistake. I would actually have to say this index is basically from where these things will start. I actually made the mistake. So this is the index from which these items will start. So from the index 1, we are seeing that 10, 20, 30, and then E. So if you want to add something, all you have to do is that mention 0 here if you don't really want to delete something, and then the items that you want to add, you will just mention them one by one. And this would give you the resultant value. So if you want to add F after E, what shall you have to do?
So 5.
So let's say 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. We want F to be in the 5th index, right? So we're going to be giving 5 as an index. How many things we want to delete?
0.
0. And how many things we want to add?
1. If
1, and that is F. So we're going to be saying add dot splice, and then we're going to be saying 5, and then we don't want to delete anything, and we want to add F. And this would actually give us the thing that we want, that we have added F after this. So unfortunately, this is the most complicated one because this does the work of adding and deleting at the same time. And if you're not careful, you would actually modify the array in an unwanted way. So this is what I wanted to talk about before I give you a break. And there is just one other thing. Do you remember how do we convert a string to an array? Using which function?
The delimiter.
The delimiter is the name of the argument. What is the name of the function? Split. So you have a function in the string that actually converts the string into a array, which is very, 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 very useful. And you have something opposite to this. When you have an array and you want to convert this into a string, and then you want to put something in the middle, all you have to do is use the opposite of this, which is called join. So in the join, you will mention the delimiter, and this will actually create an array for you. Let's say you want to put hyphen between the items. So it would actually concatenate all the items and create a string for you with the hyphen in the middle. So if you want to join all the elements using the keyword AND, what shall you have to write?
So just putting AND here.
Just AND. If we do this, it will actually combine all the elements and they will put AND in the middle. So the opposite to the split is actually join. And they both of them are very, 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 very useful, and the split is particularly useful. So I think, yes?
Sir, একটা স্ট্রিং কে যদি আমি প্লাস ইকুয়াল টু একটা ক্যারেক্টার অ্যাসাইন করে দেই তাহলে কি স্যার এটা লাস্টে অ্যাপেন্ড করে দেব ক্যারেক্টারটা?
I'm not sure. Let's check. So I have a string right here. If I do a plus equals to p, I'm not sure if it will work. Yeah, it works. If I put p, it will work. So just try it out. It's very much like C, but it has a lot of things to offer. And trust me when I tell you, we are just starting to scratch the surface. And these are just the common functions that we talked about. And after the break, I will start again at 4, inshallah. So after the break, we are going to be starting about some of the advanced functions that will make your life much, much easier, inshallah. So let me give you a break, and then we will come back at 4, inshallah. Are you here? Can I start?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So before I start, let me take the attendance. Ronak,
Yes, sir.
Rokunujaman, Apel Mahmood,
Yes, sir.
Iftikhar Haidar,
Present, sir.
Hassan Shahriar,
Yes, sir.
Fardeen Salamat, Abdullah Al Mahdi, Omar Shahriar,
Yes, sir.
Mahmoud Al Islam, Mehdi Hassan, 205 roll number, Jahidul Azim, Nokibul Alam,
Yes, sir.
Najmul Huda Babar, Hasibul Alam,
Yes, sir.
CM Rafi Shahriar, Mohammad Nahid,
Yes, sir.
Nusrat Jahan Elba,
Yes, sir.
Hassan Al Mamun, Tamimur Rahman,
Yes, sir.
Anika Rashid, Faria Labanno,
Yes, sir.
Sanjida Noor,
Present, sir.
Noshin Nawar,
Yes, sir.
Roxana Akhtar, Wahiuddin,
Yes, sir.
Khondokar Nafiul Islam,
Present, sir.
Kabiluddin Bishwash, Tahsina Safa,
Yes, sir.
Alamin, Mahmoud Hassan,
Yes, sir.
Rakibul Islam, Shahzadi Khadija Khan.
রকিবুল তো ছিল ওই যে কোড দেখালো
I think he's in the vaccine booth, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So Himu is not here. The Tahsin Habib Brinto, not here. Hamim Ahmed Komul, Imon Ahmed,
Yes, sir.
Hasibul Hassan, Naimuddin Ahmed,
স্যার সানিস ছিল একটু আগেও
okay. Tawfiqur Rahman, Sabbir Sarkar,
Yes, sir.
Alok Dash, Ishtiaq Ahmed Chaun, Tasmin Sanjida,
Yes, sir.
Hidadur Rahman,
Yes, sir.
Doha Khan,
Yes, sir.
Aisha Akhtar,
Yes, sir.
Rashidur Rahman, Ashrafun Nahar Ifti,
Present, sir.
Shifa Chaudhuri,
Yes, sir.
Pratik Kanu, Sabir Hossain,
Present, sir.
Farhana Akhtar,
Present, sir.
Yasir Arafat, Tazrian Mahmood, Tanzid Hossain,
Present, sir.
Arnab Kumar,
Present, sir.
Ahmed Shabab.
Present, sir.
All right, did I miss anyone? That was a long list.
Sir, Jahidul Ajin, sir.
I was present, sir.
Just a minute. Zahidul Azim, okay. Anyone else?
স্যার আমি চ্যাট বক্সে
Anika
দিয়েছিলাম।
Anika Rashid. Okay. Anyone else?
স্যার আমি চ্যাট বক্সে দিয়েছিলাম।
Pratik. I cannot see the chat box. Please tell me the name.
হাসান আল মামুন।
Hassan Al Mamun. Okay. Anyone else?
স্যার
Yes.
লেট রেজিস্ট্রেশনের জন্য প্রথম কয়েকটা অ্যাটেন্ডেন্স দিতে পারেন।
Don't worry about the first few attendance. Don't worry about the first few. Okay. So did I miss anyone today in today's attendance? Did I get all of them? I think so. Okay, that was a long list. I wish I could see all of you in front of me, or I could meet all of you. So let's continue today's class. We were seeing some of the common functions that are useful in terms of array. Again, there are many other arrays, array functions available, but I'm not really going to be talking about all of them, but I'm going to be talking about only the important ones. So, yeah, I want you to go to the PowerPoint and tell me which function of the array did I miss? Did I miss any array function?
Sir, reverse.
Reverse. So what do you think the reverse function does?
It just reverses the array.
Just reverses the array. So we can do a lot of things that are really cool. So let's say you have an array. Let's add 2 equals to let's say 10, 40, 20, 50, 30. So this is an unordered array, right? So I want to know which is the largest element of the array. So how do I find that out? So we have min max, but we don't really have this in JavaScript, but we can use this hack that we can sort the array and then we can take either the first one or the last one. So if I do a sort function, it will actually sort. I don't think it actually changes the array. Oh, it actually does. So if I sort the array will actually be changed. So if I now sort the array and then take the first element, it will give me which element? The largest, the minimum one, right? So if I want to know about the largest element, I could actually go to the last item, or I could do what?
So reverse the array, then
yes.
the first element.
Yes, I could just reverse. I'm too lazy to go to the end of the array, so I would just reverse the array, and then I would take the first element, and that would give me the largest element. So you can use the sort and the reverse in this particular way. What else did I miss? I think I missed another function called include. So what do you think the include function does?
So it checks if a sub part of array is included in the array.
Yeah, so this is similar to something we have seen in the string. So if you want to check whether an element exists in an array, you will have to use array.include. Includes, and you would mention that, okay, I want to know whether 30 is included here. This is included. If I want to check whether 35 is included, it is not. So if you want to check quickly whether an element exists or not, you want to use it like a set, you would want to use the includes function. So these are all common functions. And right before the break, we had also talked about something called a join. So we use join sometimes, but most of the time, what we want to do is that we want to convert our data into an array so that we can work on a for loop. So let me show you what we actually use an array for. So in most of the cases, you will see that we use an array to do something. So let's say we have an array right here, and that contains maybe the data that we have. Let's say we create an array. Let arr2 equals to the random data that we had, 40, 20, 30, and 50. So let's say we have this data. And what we would want to do is that we would want to do something with each of these elements. So let's say I want to add 2 with each of these elements and then print the value. So I want to add 2 with each of these elements and then print the values. So if I want to do a particular set of work, it's a good idea to write it as a function. So I would write it as a function. So does anyone remember how to write a function?
So by writing function and then the name.
Yes, you will literally have to write function and then apply logic. Let's create a function called apply logic. So what I'm going to be doing is that I'm going to be passing each item into this function right here. And let's say it's going to be n. And then I'm going to be saying that, okay, n is going to be equals to n plus 2. I'm going to be adding 2 with n. And then I'm going to be printing the value of n. So these are the two things that I'm going to be doing here. So you tell me, how can I take the items from array 2 one by one and then apply this function to every single item?
So using for each loop?
Yes, using the for each loop. So we have this right here. Let me write this down again so that it becomes clear to you. You tell me, what is the convention if I want to get this item to have all the items one by one of the array 2?
So by writing for, then the...
Let's create a variable like this. And then what shall I write in the middle?
So for then array. Sorry, sir, of
yes,
array.
yes. So the keyword is called of. Okay, so in Java you write something like this. So in JavaScript you write of, and you pass down the array that you want to work on. So it will actually traverse the array for you, and it will hand you over the item one by one. And all you want to do is that you would want to apply the logic. So what you would want to do is that you would say that, okay, apply logic and then the item that is being passed. So if I now run this, I should be able to see that all the items are now there and they will be added by 2. So we had 10, 40, 20. Now we are printing 12, 42, and 22. Do you see the output?
Yes, sir.
So is it clear how this is working? How this is going on?
So we are যদি আমরা ভ্যালু চেঞ্জ করতে চাই, মানে যেটা পাস করব এটা চেঞ্জ হয়ে যাবে, তাহলে কি স্যার এটা করা যাবে?
So what you're talking about is that you are going to be creating an array with the changed values, right?
Yes, sir.
So if you want to do that, what you will have to do is that you will have to create a blank array 3 like this, and every time that you are applying this logic, you would not really want to log this console. You would want to return the changed value. So you would actually return the changed value. So what we are doing is that we are adding by 2 and then we are returning the value. So for each of the item, you would want to apply the logic, and to get the changed value int m,
Sir,
I would not have int, I would have let.
মানে স্যার জাভাস্ক্রিপ্টে পাস বাই রেফারেন্সটা নাই।
You have pass by reference in some cases, but not here. So we're going to be talking about something similar to this. So what we want is that we want to apply the logic to each of the elements, and we want to create a new array. So what I have done here is that I have created a blank array like this, and then I am checking the items one by one, and then I am applying the logic, and the applied logic returns a new value, and then this is the new value. So you tell me, how do I populate this blank array with the new values?
Array push, sir, using array push.
Yes, you will have to use array.push if I want to constantly add the values at the end. So I would want to take the elements, change it, and then I would push it to the new array. After doing this, I would want to write a console.log array 3. And this would actually give me the new array. So as you can see, from that array, we had applied some logic and created a new array. So it actually took a lot of effort. We had to design a function, and we had to create a blank array, and then we had to write a for loop, and inside the for loop, we had called the function for every single item, and then we pushed it, right? So there's a very easy way of doing this, and let me show that to you. So let me quickly zoom in here. So far, do you understand what I'm trying to do?
Yes, sir.
What we have done here. So we already have a function called array2 that contains these data. So we want to apply some logic to this data right here. So we have a function that exactly does that. That is called map. I want you to pay very close attention to this because this is very important and this will make your life very easy. So all you have to do is call the function map on the array that you want to apply. So the array2 is the original function that you want to apply it on, and then you would want to put the function that you would actually want each items to have. So what you can do is you can write function, and you can name the function or you can omit the function. And when you are writing the bracket, you are putting a argument. So you can name any variable that you want. So you basically you are writing the function here. And in the function, what you want is the argument that is being passed, which is every single element. You would want to return arg plus 2. And you would want to close this. And this is the body of the function. So what will happen is that in the map function, you are passing down a function. And this function is going to be applied on every single element that is there. And you are going to close the function. So if I now press enter, it will automatically create the new array for me. So do you see how it is working? It's very complicated, but this is extremely useful, and I want you to understand this.
So this is first adding 2 to the every element, right, sir?
Yes. So basically what I'm saying is that, okay, you take the array2 and apply this function to every single element of this array. So what is the function? The function is that you have an item, you return plus 2 of this item. So I'm taking the item is being passed here, and the operation that you want to do is going to be here.
Sir, is this called anonymous function?
This is called the anonymous function because we did not really give it a name. But in this case, it has a different name, but we are not really going to be bothered about this. But yes, this is an anonymous function.
Sir, এটা কি খালি জাভাস্ক্রিপ্টেই করা যায় প্যারামিটারে ফাংশন পাস করে দাও?
As far as I know, only Java does not support this directly. All other language actually supports this. For example, C and C++, you can do this using pointer. In Python, you can also do this. In Java, you have to put your function inside a class before you can pass it. So this is called a first class function, where you can assign function to a variable, or you can pass down a function inside another function. So in JavaScript, yes, you can do this. And in other languages, you can also do this, except for Java. So let me not go into that, but I want you to focus on this. What have we done here? So we are calling a function that is going to be on the array, and we can actually pass a function that will be applied to all the elements that are right here. So if you see, you will find out that array2 now contains the same things. And if you want to hold this, you will write something like this. Let array4 is going to be equal to array.map this. If I do this, it will take the return value and it will save it to array4. So if I now write array4, I should be able to see the new array. So do you see what I did here? I actually created an array from another array using the map function. So can you now write the map function so that it will subtract 5 from all the elements?
Sir, খালি arg minus 5 value.
Yes, only I will have to write arg minus 5. So let me do this thing, and I actually want you to try this out. I'm giving you 2 minutes, and I want you to tell me that you have actually executed this code in your computer. I really want you to experience this, because I'm going to be changing the way we are writing the function. So I'm giving you 2 minutes. I want you to call the map function that will subtract 5 from every single element. Did you do it?
হ্যালো স্যার, আমার কোশ্চেন ছিল।
Yes, go ahead.
স্যার আমরা স্যার এগুলো স্যার কনসোলে করছি কেন স্যার?
Because I can do this here, but I would actually have to refresh this again and again. So since this is an interactive medium, that's why we are doing it here. You can write the all of this code here as well.
স্যার তাহলে হচ্ছে আমরা যখন করব স্যার এক্সামে অর
So you will write the codes here. So I think you are having confusion. So let me write all the codes here from now, okay? So let me write the code here. So let me comment all of this out. Let me start from here. Let array2 is equals to 10. I think I have the array right here. Oh, array2. Array2 is already here. So what I can do is I can create a new array, array3. And how shall I create this array from array2? What function shall I use? If I want to subtract 5 from each of the items?
Sir, map.
Map.
The map.
Inside the map, what I'm going to be doing is that I'm going to be writing the function, and I don't really need to name the function, but I will have to mention what argument I'm passing. So I am passing, the map is going to pass each of the items one by one. So I can call it anything I want. So let's call it n. So I'm going to be receiving n here, and I would want to return n plus 2. Or I would want to subtract 5, so I would say n minus 5, and this would immediately give us a new array. So you see how easy this is. I don't have to write a for, I don't have to declare a blank array, and so on. So it's very easy. I'm going to be showing you an even more easier way of doing this. So if I now do a console.log, I am going to be saying, I refresh this, I'm seeing that every single item is now subtracted by 5. So before I move on to the other advanced function, we have a few other functions like this. Before I move on to this, I have something to say about this function right here. If you think about it, we have a lot of extra things here. We know that this is a function, so we don't really need to write the function here. So there is a shortcut of writing function. So before I say that to you, did you run this function in your computer?
Yes, sir.
Sir, একটা error দিচ্ছে।
What error?
Sir, status breakpoint.
I'll have to check. If you comment the codes, does it happen?
Let me check.
Okay. You can also share the screen so that you can see. Would you want to do that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let me close my window. You can share the screen so I can see.
Sir, কোডটা কি ঠিক আছে?
দেখি। So you have a function argument. Okay, you have an extra bracket, if I'm not mistaken, at the end.
Sir, where?
Before the semicolon. You have 2 brackets.
There is a bracket, sir, and there is a
for
bracket.
this one. Okay, okay.
Yes. Return
Alright, so-
argument minus 5.
So you can
It's giving like this type of error. Oh snap! It's giving.
I understand. So can you comment all the other things that are there here?
Sir, I commented all of them.
Okay,
Only this one. I
that's really
think.
strange. Is it the same file that you're opening?
Yes, sir. Let me check. Yes, sir.
It usually happens when it has a lot of data inside. Can you open the console?
Yes, sir. Oh, I cannot open, sir. It's giving me nothing happens when I right click.
Oh, okay, that's really strange.
Let me open it again. It's still giving error. Let item of array 2 apply logic item array 2.
So this usually happens when your computer is heavy on the memory, so it doesn't really have a lot of memory. But I don't
Sir,
think.
is this happening because I am passing the map array?
No, Oh, you are passing it into the console.log. No, this should not be the case.
If I
You can cut it out and put it
let
into an array.
array 2 array 3 onto this.
Put a semicolon.
Let me log array 3.
Yeah.
Still happening.
This is very strange. This should not happen. So can you comment these lines out from 80
Yes,
to
sir.
83? And let's see if that solves the problem or not.
Still giving error.
Okay, so I
That
think this is
means
not
that
because of this
something
code.
is- maybe because of this code.
Okay, comment this.
Let me comment. Yeah, now it's
Okay.
correct. Console, I commented this. Now if I
Yeah. Uncomment just the last lines. Yeah.
and let me just
Okay.
535. Yes, it's working now.
So it's working. Okay, that's wonderful. So I think there was a conflict between the lines. Are all others all the others could run the map function?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I want to show you a shortcut of this particular function right here, because this is something that we do very frequently. So we have a bunch of data. We want to apply some logic to it, and we want to convert it to something else before we are doing something. So there's a very easy way of writing the function here. So we don't really have to write the function. Let me show that to you. Yeah, just a minute. Share the screen now. And so the thing that I want to show you is in the slide. So we're seeing that we have to write a lot of lines to write the function. But there's a shortcut of writing this function. So the way it is that you see that this function keyword is completely unnecessary. Obviously, we want to apply a function. What else do we want? So we are going to remove the function. And this is complicated because how do we differentiate between the input and the output? So the way we differentiate this is by typing equal to and greater than. And this is the arrow operator. If you do it like this, it is equivalent to writing a function. So you can think of this as a shorthand of function. So you have removed the function keyword, and then you have typed the arrow, and it will work the same way. If you now run this, it would give you the same result. If I refresh this, it would give you the same result. And I want to save some spaces since this is only one line. So I can put these things into a single line, and this would save some bit of space. So this is the line. So this would actually save some bit of line. If I refresh this, it would give me the same result. And the good thing is that if you have only one thing that you are returning and there is not multiple lines, what you can do is you can also omit the return as well as the bracket, and this would give you the same result. So what we want is that so we have converted it into the bare minimum, that we have one item for every single item we would want to return -5 of that particular item. So if I do this, it will give me the same result, as you can see. So this is the shorthand version especially when we are using the map keyword and some other keywords. So this is called the lambda function. We don't really have to remember the name, but this is how we write the shortcut when we want to apply quick changes into all the items. Is it clear so far?
Yes, sir.
Why didn't we write the return keyword?
স্যার কজ এখানে মাল্টিপল লাইন নেই স্যার এন্ড আমরা জাস্ট একটাই রিটার্ন
Yes, we want to have just one changes. That's why we can remove the return keyword, and also we have to return the braces. If I write the braces here, it will be a complete function. So in that case, if I now run this, it would actually give me an error, because since this is a complete function, it will do a subtract, but it did not return. So I would then have to type return, and then it would work. So do you understand the difference? So you have very minor changes. You would just mention the change here without the braces. So in that case, it will just take this input and it will perform this operation in this particular map. So this is how the map function works. And there are many other similar functions that are there, but I'm going to be talking about very few of them. So let's say you have the original function, which is, let me also log that function for you. So let's say we have another function, the actual function, which is the array2, and this actually gives you the original function. So let's say we want to filter out only the big numbers. So you have 10, 40, 20, 30, 50. So we want to only filter the numbers who are larger than 25. So what do you think we shall have to use?
Sorry, if conditions?
We will have to use an if condition. But if you think about it, there is no way that you will not return something. You must return something if you're using a map function. So if you're using an if function, that if this is greater than 25, you will return something. If you don't return something, it will be undefined. So you will have still 5 items. Some of them will be undefined. So the thing that I want to do is that I want to select only a particular set of items based on a condition. And we have a similar function like this to do exactly that. So if I want to do this thing, that I want to select only the items that are greater than 25, I'll have to use another function that is called filter. So let's say I create another function called array4, and I will perform operation on array2, and I will say map, I will say filter, and in the filter, I will also pass down a function in the similar way, and obviously it will contain the argument. Let me change another name to show you that I can pass down anything here, and this will be the item. And here, the function, if the function returns true, then the item will be added into array4. And if the function returns false, that item will not be added into the array. So you tell me, what is the condition for which I would include it into array4? I want to filter array2, and I want to pick only the large elements who are greater than 25. So what will be the condition?
Sir,
R
greater than 25.
R greater than 25. That's it. And this would give me the result. So if I now print array4, it would actually give me the bigger values, 40, 30, and 50. Can you see?
Yes, sir.
I know you are uncomfortable with this thing, but this is really useful. So think of this as the argument portion of the function, and this is the body of the function. If you have multiple lines, you can always put braces around. In that case, you will have to explicitly mention the return. Usually I have the return statement, and I also have the braces. Let me do this. So this is usually how I write it, that I would have the body of the function, because I don't really feel comfortable without the body of the function. So this is how I actually write it. If I do this, I will give the same result. So this is how the filter function works. So you tell me, how can you filter the arrays? How can you filter out certain items? from the array. So let's say I have a blacklist. Let's say let blacklist is equals to, I want to blacklist maybe 30 and 40. So I want to remove 30 and 40 from our array 2. How shall I do this? At array 5, I want to filter out these two numbers. So if I want to exclude these numbers, I can always delete them, but I want to exclude these numbers using the filter function. How can I do this? Add true. I want to use a filter function, and this is the argument that I am being passed. And what shall I do? How shall I check?
So not equal to.
Sir, arg equal 30 or arg equal 40.
That is the C programming way of doing this. But we have learned about a lot of modern functions here. Think about
sir, arg not equal to sir 30.
Obviously, we have a list and we don't really know what is in the value. So we would want to check whether arg is inside the blacklist or not. Is there any function through which we can check whether an item is inside the array or not? Includes. Excellent. So what shall I return? Return.
Not includes blacklist.
Yes. Return. Not blacklist dot includes args. So if it is inside the blacklist, we would return false. So if I do this and print arg5, yeah, if I now do this, I'm going to be seeing that the 30 and 40 is not here. You can obviously write it into a more legitimate way. You can write it like this, that if blacklist dot includes arg, so which means this is inside the blacklist, what shall I return?
Return false.
Return false. Excellent. And the false for JavaScript is in the lowercase. Otherwise, I would return true. So this is much more readable, and you would want to do this. So if I do this, it will give me the same result. In the filter function, I am filtering out for which values I am returning true or false. So based on this, it will either add it or not add it into the array. So is it clear so far about the map and the filter?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So before I move on to the next one, I have just one thing that I would want you to do using the filter. So using the filter, can you find a specific item? So
Yes,
let's say I want to find 20 into the array. So how can you do this using filter?
So using if condition.
So let's say I want to check whether 20 is there in the array or not. So I shall create another array called array6, and I would write array2.filter. And what is the function that I shall pass? I want to check whether 20 is here or not.
If arg equal 20.
Yes, we can use 3 equals, but for now we have learned 2 equals, so let's use 20. If this is 20, then
return.
So we want to find 20, so we want 20 to be there.
Return true.
True. Otherwise,
return false.
Return false. Excellent. So this would give us the thing that if array is the array contains 20 or not. So if 20 is there, we are going to be using 20. So you might be thinking that why are we using this? In the next class, we're going to be seeing objects. So we're going to be seeing that if there's going to be key value pair. So we have name, and against the name, we have a phone number, roll number, and some other stuff. So we would want to find whether a particular person is present in the list and if they are present, we would want to know their phone number and the roll number. So we can do this very easily using the filter function. So this is the use of the filter function. So there are some other things that you would want to do. There are some other functions. For example, you can call we have filter. There is one other thing that I will not mention, and that is called reduce. So reduce is something that if you're interested, you can learn it by yourself, but I'm not going to be talking about this because it will give you a lot of trouble. So there's one other function that I would want to talk about, and that is we have, let's go into the slide. I think these are the two most important ones. So we have talked about the anonymous function. We can have a normal function like this, and we can assign the function into a variable like this. So we don't really have to mention the name of the function. We can assign it to an add function, and then we can call the add normally. And we can also convert this like this. So instead of writing the function, we can write it like an arrow. And also, if this is a single liner, we can also omit the braces and the return, and we can write something like this. And obviously, if you have multiple lines, you can also include the braces. In that case, the function will have a full body. If you don't really use the braces, this will work as a return value. So we have talked about filter, and then we have talked about map, and there are some other functions that are not really incredibly useful, but they're useful when you are trying to evaluate something else. For example, the for each is something that is something we have done here. So the for each is something that we have done here. So if you want to do something with each of the function, but we don't want to create an array, you will want to use for each. So let's say I want to print out all the elements of the array, array 6. So I would write something like this, that array 6, but for each, and here I would mention a function and what to do with that particular item. So I would want to console.log the content of array 6 is, and then I would mention the arc. So if I want to print out all the elements and I want to add the text in front of it, I would call it in this way. So if I now run this, it would actually print out, actually it would print out on the value from here. So let me try to print out the array 2. It would have more values. So this is array 2. So this would give us more values. So if you want to apply a lot of things, you want to do a lot of things, you would want to use for each. So these are incredibly useful functions that actually quickly allows us to convert an array and create new arrays from existing arrays. And can you guess what the sum and every function does? What would the sum function do? What do you think the sum function does? If you pass a function, what will it do?
স্যার এভরির ক্ষেত্রে মানে ওই ক্রাইটেরিয়াটা প্রত্যেকটা এলিমেন্টের ক্ষেত্রে অ্যাপ্লাই হবে এন্ড সামের ক্ষেত্রে অ্যাট লিস্ট একটা হলেও হবে বা
Exactly. This is exactly what it will do. So for the sum, what you will do is it's like a filter, but what you can do is that you can find out whether all the elements actually pass that condition or not. If some of the elements pass that condition, it will return true for the sum function, but for the every function, every element will have to pass that particular function. So let me remove this one for now. Sorry. Let's create another function, and we would want to have the value. So let's return value is equals to add2, and we would want to know, that if some of the values are greater than 20. So what do you think about the array 2? Is it the case that some of the elements are greater than 20? Do you remember array 2?
Array 2 content.
So this is the array 2 content, 10, 40, 20, 30, 50.
Yes, sir.
What do you
True,
think
return
this
true.
function will return?
True.
It will return true because some of the elements are actually greater than 20. So it will actually return true. And if I write 200, what will happen?
So false.
So are there some elements in the array 2 which are greater than 200?
No, sir.
No,
False also.
that's why it will return false. And if I now go back to the previous one, it is returning true because there are some elements that are greater than 20. And if I mention every, what will happen?
Sir, false also.
Why would it be false?
Because sir, একটা 10 আছে sir and 20.
Yes. So basically, I am expecting that if all the items are greater than 20, are all the items greater than 20?
No, sir.
No, there are 10 and 20 which are not greater than 20. So it will now return false. And if I now say that, okay, args less than 200, what will it do? Are all the items less than 200?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Sir.
So it will now return true. So these are some of the common useful functions. There are many other functions like this. And if you're more interested and if you find it interesting, I would encourage you to look for another function called reduce. So far we have functions like map and filter. They actually convert one array to another array. But if you want to combine all the elements of the array into a single value, you would use a function called reduce. I'm not going to be teaching you the function. If you are interested, you can look it up by yourself. So these are the functions that I wanted to talk about. And let me do some of the practices and then we could close the class. So let's start with the first problem of the string. So if you have any question, you can ask me. So this is something that till this discussion, we're going to have our city in the third one. So I think we're going to have our city on the 9th August, or it's probably going to be on the 8th or 9th, I'm not sure. We're going to have our third city on the 9th August. So it will be till this. So the array functions that we have talked about and the string function that we have talked about, these are the things that is going to be on the city of the 9th August. And for the 8th of August, we're going to have the city on the previous class. So in the previous class, we had talked about some of the JavaScript functions and how we can connect them with the buttons and so on. So we're going to have our city on that on 8th of August.
Sir.
Yes.
আমরা হচ্ছে স্যার আগের ক্লাসে যে সব পড়েছিলাম ওগুলো হচ্ছে এই 8 তারিখে যে পরীক্ষা দেওয়া হবে সেটার সিলেবাস আর আজকে যেটা ক্লাস করলাম ওটা হচ্ছে 9 তারিখে যেটা পরীক্ষা সেটার উপর সিলেবাস
Exactly.
Sir, is today's your lecture is good enough for preparation of our CD3?
I think so. Please tell me how I can improve this. I know how I can improve this by doing some practice.
Sir,
Yes.
classes
Sir, how many classes you take on JavaScript?
How many
classes?
Only one more. Only one more. Only one more. I understand that it's difficult to take the cities one after another in sequential classes, but as we discussed in the beginning of the class, I think this is the best because you have just learned about these things, and I think they are fresh in your mind. So it would I would not want to delay it after the midterm. That would be not in your favor, right? So let us do some practice, and I'm sure you will find it comfortable. Find comfortability with the things that we have learned here. Okay.
Sir, next class we do cover callback function.
Next class.
Callback function ki koraben sir? Next class.
So we have already talked about callback functions. So every single function that we are passing here are called callback functions. I intentionally did not mention the name because if you understand it, there is no need to mention it. So the callback functions are basically the functions that are called back when a particular thing is happening. So every single time an item is being accessed, this function is called back. So this function is called a callback function.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So, and also this is also called the lambda function that you have probably seen in C or Java or Python. So if you have a one-liner function and that does not explicitly mention the return, but the statement itself is the return, the expression itself is the return value. In that case, this is called the lambda function. I'm not naming these things. As long as you understand how these things work, it should be fine. So you tell me about the strings first practice. Do we have a function to do this?
Yes, sir. Split.
Yes, we'll have to use split. And the question is incomplete because it did not mention the delimiter. So if it does not really mention anything, but it gives an example, you will have to read the example to find out what the delimiter actually is. So let's say I have given you a sentence. What will be the delimiter for that sentence?
Space.
Space. So we would want to break down the elements based on the space. So we would want to have words from the sentence. Okay. How are we going to do the second one?
Slice.
We're going to use slice. And can anyone tell me what will be the indexes?
0 to 5.
0 to 5.
So 0 to 4.
4, sir.
0 to 4. Anyone for 0 to 3?
No, sir. 0 to
4. So if I am
possible.
talking about the first 4 character, what is the index of the last character?
3.
3. So we would want to add one more so that we can cover them. So we're going to be saying that string dot or the string that we have dot slice 0, 4. That's excellent. Okay. For the next one, we are going to be using the functions of the array as well. I want you to do the third problem. I want you to think about the third problem. We have a string that contains a name. So that you know that names are divided into spaces, right? So you have the first name, the middle name, and the last name and the nicknames. So you have a long name, and we would want to have an abbreviated version. So we are taking the first letter of every single word, and we are putting a dot after that. We have to put a dot here also. So I want you to think, how can we do this using the functions?
স্যার আমরা একটা স্প্লিট করব স্যার।
Excellent, very good.
স্প্লিট করার পরে স্যার জয়েন করব স্যার দিয়ে প্রথম ক্যারেক্টারটা।
স্প্লিট করার পরে স্যার একটা অ্যারে রিটার্ন করবে ওইখান থেকে সব ওয়ার্ড আছে ওগুলো নিয়ে।
If I split it, I am going to be getting the words. So from the words, we don't want all of the words. We only want the first character of each of the words. How can we do this?
Capital index 0 sir protector.
Yes. Obviously, we're going to take the first index, and how are we going to take the first index of every single array?
Every single items are inside the array.
So using a for loop?
Yes, sir.
Do we have something better?
Item use process. Items of.
Sir,
tell me. What did we see recently?
স্যার আমরা অ্যারে ফাংশনগুলো ইউজ করতে পারি, বাট
we will use map.
Yes, sir.
So let's try to use that. Let me comment all of these things out. So, sorry. Let's have a name. Name is equals to my friend's name, Saiful Islam. Okay. So what we would want is, the first thing is that we would want to break these things into the array. So how can we break them into the array?
Sir, split, sir.
That words equals to the name that we have, we would want to split it into the space. So it would give me how many words?
3 words.
In the string. So this is something that we're doing here. So it would give me 3 words. So from these 3 words, I want to create a new array that will only contain the first letter of each word. Which function shall I use? Filter. Let abbreviation equals to. So the abbreviation array will hold the first letter of each of these words. So I want to apply to the words array some kind of function that will return only the first letter. How can I do that?
তো এখানে আমরা ডট দিয়ে জয়েন করে দিই, তারপরে ফিল্টার দিয়ে পাস করে দিই। আর ফিল্টারে আমাদের
So if I now do a join, if I do a join now, what will it join?
So words dot dot না, হ্যাঁ না স্যার, ওয়ার্ডসটা আমরা একটা ফিল্টার দিয়ে পাস করে দেই।
Yeah,
ফিল্টারটা আমাকে শুধু
use a filter. If I am using filter, I want to omit some of the things. But do I want to omit certain things, or I want to perform some action? So for each words, I want to take the first letter.
স্যার ফর ইচ ইউজ করলে তো মনে হয় হয়ে যায় স্যার। ফর ইচ এর ভিতরে আমরা
So you can actually use for each, but since we are, I want to force you to use map. So if I am adamant that I want to use a map, what shall I do? I have passed an argument, and that argument will hold a function, and what shall I return? So in this case, what are these arguments? What will it?
ওয়ার্ডগুলো স্যার, ওয়ার্ডের প্রথম লেটার পাঠাই দিব স্যার।
So we want the first letter of each of these things. So if I now do a console.log, we would have, if I do an abbreviation, I should be able to see the first letter of these things. So MSI. So I'm seeing the first letters. So all I now have to do is that I would want to put dot before I print them. So you might be thinking that I would be using join. But the problem with the join is that it does not really consider at the end. So it would be joining the middle ones. So it will be putting dots in the middle, but there will not be any dot at the end. So I think in the output, I don't have a dot at the end. So you could use a join. So if I use a join now, so if I do an abbr.join dot, it would give me the exact output that I want. If I refresh, it would give me the same output. But if I want to also add a dot, you could do a for each, and for after each element, you would put a dot, or you could just put a dot here. So this would give you an output like this. Or if you don't really want to do a join, what you would do is that you would just add the dot after this. And then you would just join it using the blank item. This would give you this thing. Do you see what happened here? So every time I'm extracting the letter, I'm adding a dot to it because I wanted to have it anyway. So now I have the array that will contain m dot and s dot and also a I dot. So and then I would just join this. So this is how easy the problems are. So I want you to go through all the problems, and I want to try these problems using the functions that we have learned here. And in the exam, I'm not going to be forcing you to use the filter and the map, but it would be good if you use them. And I might give you some bonus if you use the map and the filter. But if you have done it using the for and the regular functions, I would also be happy. So don't worry about it. So there are 8 functions for the string and 8 functions for array. Yes?
স্যার কোশ্চেনে কি মেনশন করা থাকবে যে এটা ইউজ করলে বোনাস হবে স্যার?
I think I will, depending on the second city that you give. So I think I will declare a bonus for this. So if you use map or filter for this, you will get a bonus. So I think this is the time. So let me conclude the class here. So let me tell me how was the class? I know it was too much. So but did you get some of it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, it was interesting.
I know JavaScript is really impressive, but unfortunately, I cannot cover maybe 10% of JavaScript in this course. But the things that we're going to be seeing we are going to be using these things in the Vue.js as well. So do you have any confusion?
Sir, do you have any practice problem for CD2, sir?
For CT2, I have already provided some practice problems. So if you go into the week 3 folder, you will see that I have provided a text file that contains like 15 of problems, and I have also given you a link. And inside the link, there are lots of theory and also problems. So you can solve these problems. Okay.
তো সিটিতে আমরা যেসব ক্লাসে পড়ছি এইসবের বাইরে কোনো ফাংশন মেথড যদি ইউজ করি সমস্যা হবে?
Try to use the function that we have used here in the discussion. Did I miss any function?
না স্যার, মনে করেন আমি প্রিন্ট করার সময় এই টেমপ্লেট লেটার ইউজ করতে পারি।
Okay.
বা
Okay. No worries. If you're using template, it should be fine. No problem.
Okay.
Okay. So thank you very much. I really hope you had got something beneficial from this class, and I will see you in the next session.